Alright guys, let's take a look here. By the way, I finished grading all the quizzes. You'll be getting it back in your laps, and the average is like an 81.9 or something crazy awesome. But not everybody did that good, so thankfully make corrections. How do I do this first problem? Yeah, so what order? What's alphabetical order. Interesting. So then x is 4.
4 minus 3.
Y is negative 1. 4 plus 3 is 7. So then, is that point a solution to the equation?
Yes.
Yes. What else can you tell me about that point? It's a nice point. How does it relate to something about this equation besides working in it? It also... it's on the line. Right, if I graph this guy, that point will be on the line. It'll be on that graph. Yeah, like it. Again, the graph, the whole idea of the graph is to show visually all the answers to something. So how do I do that? I find a few answers and then I connect the dots, right? So right now it's just a straight line, so I really just need 2 points. Eventually you get into a class where they start doing shit like this, and you might need a few more points just to see where the hell is this thing turning, but it's the same idea. Find a few points and then connect them. And every single point that goes through works in the equation. That's the connection between the graph and the equation. Alright, this first one shouldn't be too bad. What's the slope of this line? -1. Like it. And what's the Y-intercept? Yes. So what do you got to do with this line? Can I see this?
Solve for y.
Yeah, I got to solve for y. So you could subtract 2x. Show that in front there so that things look better. And then I have to divide by -1. So what's the slope? 2. Good. You can say 2 over 1. I like it. Say again. Is everybody all right? I heard a little exclamation about the 1 over there.
Yeah, what are you doing with it?
Huh? Oh, you could write 2 over 1. That's fine. You could write 2 also because that is
Where'd
what.
you get the 1 in the top part? Like subtracting 1. Sorry, that just lost me.
You mean this here?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that solved for y yet? No. What do I need to get rid of?
I have a negative sign.
I have a negative sign. And what's that negative doing to the y? It's multiplying. So I need to divide by it.
Just the 1?
So watch. All right. When I write y, there's an understood 1 there. So then you couple that with, if I had 2y equals 8, how do you solve for y? Divide by 2. If I had 3y equals 8, I would divide by 3. So if I have negative y with an understood 1 there equals something, how do I solve for y? Divide by -1. I mean, you divide by whatever the thing is that's multiplying. You want to get rid of that shit, so you do the opposite. Okay, I like it. So you guys said the y-intercept was?
0, -3.
0, -3. Kick ass. Huh? I didn't call you an ass. What is it? Somebody said the right answer wasn't one of my classes, and I love it. And he said, "Did you say you love me?" Sorry, dude. Don't know you that well. So funny. Now, in this situation, please, dear God, do not graph these points. This problem does not say a word about graphing anything. How do I find the slope between these two? Yeah, y2 minus y1. x2 minus x1. I like it. Rise over run. Y's over the other guys, over the x's. It rhymes. I really don't know how much better to make it. So it does not matter which one you consider the first and second point, you just have to subtract in the same direction. So if I do -1 minus -2, I better do 4 minus -1, so I'm going the same way. Well, you might not have done that, but let's see. So this would be -1 plus 2, this would be 4 plus 1, so I get 1 over 5. Is that cool? If you did it the other way, you would have done -2 minus -1 over -1 minus 4 plus. You would have gotten -1 over -5, which is the same damn thing, thank God. Are you guys, is that cool? Again, it's really just fundamentally because what's 7 minus 2? 5. What's 2 minus 7? -5. So that tells you, that's why the formula is the way it is. If you turn the top around, you better turn the bottom around so the signs match back up. That's the only reason the equation is the way it is. It's the little subscript dudes. Just saying subtract the same direction. Okay. Alright, something like number 4 should be really nice, because they've already done this for us, right? It's when we have to do our own little XY table that we somewhat get a little off track. But -5, -3, I mean, you guys should all be able to plot these. -5, -3, -1, -1. And then we got, where am I? 3, 1. And then 7, 3. Yeah. And then you sort of do, yeah, that's pretty straight. For me, that's perfect, yes.
On tests, if we don't identify what points are on the graph.
Yeah, for this kind of problem, I don't really need you to do that, to be honest. If it was a problem where it wasn't a line, I just said plot all these points, and they're just all over the damn place, then you better freaking label those bad boys, right? Here, I can pretty much follow your thought process. If they're all over the place, looking like measles, I need some help determining what's what. Yeah. Is that first page pretty decent there? This first page pretty much has to be decent right now. If it isn't, that is not a true statement for you. You come see me, see a tutor, do something, or just don't, and then get bad grades. I mean, it's really up to you. It's always an option. All right, so try these two. It's 5 and 6 right there. And by the way, I just made section 3.7 active up there for the homework. Well, please, dear God, if you're working on there and you're like, oh, he hasn't posted it yet, shoot me an email. Say, hey, man, you forgot to make that active. Oh, shit. Not a big deal, right? I'm not saying it's your job. I'm just saying it makes sense to do that so you can actually get the homework done. Alright guys, let me catch up to you. You guys notice what's really nice about the inputs they chose?
They're all multiples of 2.
All multiples of 2, which when you have to make your own table and you have a fractional coefficient on the x, you just choose multiples of the bottom so that will work out nice. Very often you're like, math, this is hard, this is math. No, you are mean to yourself. You get to choose what you plug in there. So choose nice things. And here they just gave it to us, that's nice. So to do this first one, what do? How do I fill this in?
You plugged in.
Yeah, when x is -2, so I let x be -2 in the equation. And then I'm trying to figure out what y is when that happens. So what's half of -2? -1. And what's -1 minus 4? -5. Please, dear God, if you still have trouble with signed numbers and adding, subtracting, that is just never going to go away, and it's just going to continue to make you lose points. So you ought to come see me something, right? When they're the same sign, you add them and put the sign back on. So what about the second one?
-4.
Yeah, you put a 0 in, so you get -4. And then finally, this third one. 1/2 of 2 minus 4. 1/2 of 2 is 1. -3, I like it. Of course, we know some stuff about slope now. What does that slope tell me should happen? Every time I go up 1,
Over 2.
I should go over 2. So look, the y's went up 1, the x's went over 2. The y's went up 1, the x's went I mean, there's a nice, you can see that happening in the table. And of course, it's going to show up on the graph. Let's see what we got. -2, -5, 0, -4, 2, -3. So up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Okay, so you can see that slopes effect two different ways, just computationally and then visually. Yes?
How do you multiply the fraction with them?
Oh, so if you wanted to, so I was just saying to myself, 1/2 of this, which is really all it says, but you can always put that whole number over 1 and see how the 2's cancel? So then that's -1. Here the 2's cancel, so then that's 1. That's all. Yeah, when you put a whole number in with a fraction, just put the whole number over 1, so everything looks like it's in the right place. And this guy looks like, it might be the same problem I put on some of you guys' quizzes that came in. How do I find the x-intercept always? How do I always find the x-intercept? Make y 0. If I had an equation with 18 letters in it and I wanted you to find the w-intercept, you would make all the other letters 0. See, this idea never goes, it's the same always, no matter how ugly the equation gets. So x-intercept, make y equals 0. So for the x-intercept, I already know a part of the answer for the x-intercept. I'm making y 0. Bam. So maybe it's a good idea to start the point off before you even do the work, just so you don't make mistakes like taking both x and y intercept, making 1 point out of it. That's a bad mistake to make. Find it. So 2x minus 5 times 0 equals 10. 2x equals 10, so then x equals 5. Y-intercept, no way. Make x equal to 0. And again, I love to look at it this way. I am forcing the equation to live, in this case, making x equal to 0, I'm making it live on the y-axis. Where are you when you're on the y-axis? Where were you the night of June 23rd? So I always have this equation like under this hot spotlight and saying, tell me what's going on. Make x 0. So then I get -5y equals 10. So what's y? -2. So -2. Oh, got it. 0, -2. Good job, John. They didn't ask me to graph it, but I just plot those points, and then for some reason, some of you guys plotted the points and didn't connect it. I don't get that. So to graph the line, that's just 2 of the infinite number of answers, so it's not quite enough. When you connect the points and put little arrows, you gave me an infinite number of answers. That's enough. Now this is relatively new. This one shouldn't be too bad. What are the 2 equations of a line that we know? Good old mx plus b. And what's the newest one?
Y minus y1 equals m minus x minus x.
I like it. Just everybody's like, she is our spokesperson. Do you need to know these? Yeah, hell yeah. I'm not going to let you write those down. You with me? Everybody should know mx plus b. You also have to memorize this second guy. So which one do I want to use in this case? Yeah, I want to use the first one. Why? Because I know b is negative 8. And of course, m is 2. So I want to use this guy, y equals 2x minus 8. Bam! Get a little excited. But this is the one we just did last time. I want to use this one here. So take a minute and do number 8. I want you to realize you can actually graph the equation before you know what the equation is. Right? You've got enough information. I'm with you. So if I were you, I would graph it first, so the equation doesn't make me get confused. What's up?
I just confused by this.
What?
The equation of the line I got does not compare to the line on the graph.
Oh shit. Alright, we'll find out what happened.
I'm sure the equation.
I'm almost certain that you did the line on the graph correctly.
Yeah.
So something must have went wrong with moving stuff around. Yeah.
I just hate fractions. In general.
Hello, fractions. We created them and then we hate them. What is my purpose? Your purpose is to be hated. Why can't I pass the butters? No? Oh, come on, man. I don't know, Morty. Where's that math one? Probably universal. Anybody watch Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
The last episode was. Oh my. All right, now real quick, how do I graph this without even doing the equation? How do I graph this? Where do I start?
2, 2.
2, 2. So I know that point is on the line. And what's the slope tell me to do?
Down 1 over 3.
Down 1 over 3. Down 1 over 3. Or I could go up 1, back 3. You guys cool with that? Yes, ma'am.
Why is it down 1 over 3 instead of down 1 back 3?
If it was down 1, back 3, then the number should have been positive 1/3. You can't have a negative on top and bottom and have the number come out negative. You go in the negative direction in only one of the 2 cases. If you go in the negative direction both times, it should be a positive slope. And it's not. So this makes sense. It's going down, thankfully. If you miss a point, just make it big. Whee! Big old point. Yeah. All right, now how do I find the equation? What do I know? I know, what's this tell me? M is negative 1/3. Which equation do I want to use? I pretty much already told you. This guy. So y minus what? 2. You can't go wrong with a 0.22. Y minus 2 equals negative 1/3 times x minus 2. I know this is where everybody just loves life. Negative 1/3 x plus 2/3. And then I can add 2. So you get y equals negative 1/3 x. 2/3 plus 6/3 is 8/3. What is 8/3 as a mixed number? 2 and 2/3. 2 and 2/3. That looks to be about where that is. So it does match. So if you go through there, right there, it looks like the y-intercept is 2 and 2/3. Yes, ma'am.
So, you talk about y minus 2 equals negative 1/3, you distribute it to the x and the negative 2. So, why do you have then like 3 different fractions?
Oh, all right. So you got it. I was running out of room, so that wasn't there. And then what did I do? So that's where I am now. And then I added 2.
You added 2. So
How do I get y by itself?
you add 2. So
Add 2, and then I made it LCD. So that is what I get from here. Then I add 2. I just put it next to this so I could see it better. You guys, yes?
Yeah.
That's what we get once we distribute. Add 2, right? That's the plus 2. And then how do you add it to 2/3, negative 2/3? You have to make the bottom 3 also, right? Well, the numbers are 3. Say again? Because that slope has to go to both things. Yeah. That slope has to go to both things. Is that good enough? I mean, remember where it came from. It came from this. If I multiply this up here, if I multiply this up here, I've got to multiply the whole thing by m, not just the first part. So it's got to be in parentheses. Because it's m times all of this when I bring it up. This is where we created that equation from, right? We got rid of these stupid little subscripts, and then we multiply that part up.
So all those points, basically put them into that equation, right?
Yeah, the x part, the y part, and the slope, and then you can clean it up. I like it. I like it. Good. Okay. I really don't know if you guys saw what I just did with. We plotted it before we knew the equation. So like you said, the equation has got to match with what we see. This equation says the y-intercept is supposed to be 2 and 2/3. And there it does look like it's 2 and 2/3. So I feel pretty good about what we got. If this said -7, I'd be like, oh shit. Something went wrong. Like it. There are always checks and balances you can do to make sure you're on the right track. Believe it or not. Okay. All right, cool. That's perfect. So now that we realized we basically caught up where we were. I don't think we've done a problem like this yet. What 2 things do you need for the equation of a line? Slope. And you'd hope to God the y-intercept, but in general you need a point. If that point happens to be the y-intercept, that kicks ass, because then I know what b is. I can use the smaller equations. We're done with it, right? Do I know the y-intercept? No. Shit. So I got to use a longer equation. I got to clean it up a little bit. Too bad. But in general, I need the slope, a direction, and a place to start. If I know those 2 things, I got a line. If I only know direction, I don't know where the hell it is. If I only know where to start, I don't know where to go. Oh, cool. So how do I find the slope? Okay. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So help me fill that in. So we're going to the top.
4 whatever.
Sure.
Plus
4 minus negative 2. Right, 4 minus negative 2 over
3 minus
3 minus 3. So what do you get?
6 over 0.
6 over 0. Holy shit. So what and what slope is that? What's 6 over 0? Undefined. What kind of line has an undefined slope? Because what would this slope be? This slope has got to be 0. That makes sense. It's flat. It's got no 0 slope, right? I like it. I like it. So it's got to be this kind of line. What kind of equation goes with this kind of a line? In fact, tell me. Look at the 2 points. Is there anything that they share in common? Is there any rule that seems to be governing them? X has to be 3. There you go. X equals 3. So this is sort of a special case again. And when you get a weird slope, like a 0 slope, or an undefined slope is even worse, you got to go, oh, it's a special case. I got to treat it with a special case. It'll be easy if I do that. If I try to force undefined into M in my equation, what the shit do I do with that? Divide by undefined. No. So this is just going to be the equation. It's a vertical line. It's x equals, and x must be 3. I like it. So you guys try number 12 out, just to jump to the bottom of the page. I like your punctuation choice. I'm going to put both, just because I want to show you it doesn't matter which one you use. So what is the slope?
-3 halves.
Yeah, down 3 over 2, so -3 over 2. I like it, check. Got that. And then you need a point. Well, how many points did they give me? 2. What are the 2 points they gave me? -1, 2.
1 and negative.
And 1, -1. I like it. So you just pick one. It doesn't matter which one you pick. So I'm going to do it both ways. Just because. So which one did you pick?
-1, 2.
Sweet. Okay. So I used to call this once you get these 2 things, you're at the SDT level of the problem, which is where you do the same damn thing. You take each of these and you plug it into the equation. It doesn't even matter where these came from. They give me information, I find these 2 things, I forget about all the other stuff, I just throw them in the right place in the equation. So y minus the y piece,
2.
2, equals the slope, times x minus the x piece.
X plus 1.
Yeah, so it'll be x minus negative 1, which becomes plus 1. I like it. Let me stop there for a second. Again, this is just substitution of numbers into the right place, right? I know the slope goes where m is, the x piece goes where x1 is, the y piece goes where y1 is. If you chose the other point, you didn't make a mistake. I'm going to do it that way too. Doesn't matter which point you choose, they're both in the line. The clock goes slower if you look at it. So y minus 2 equals
Negative 2x. Minus 1.
minus 3 halves. What's up? How are we doing? Pretty alright? A little bit? Let me write that up here. Now I have to do what? Add 2. To get an LCD, I have to. Good? So multiply by 2. So we get y equals negative 3 halves x. And what's negative 3 halves plus 4 halves? Negative 3 halves plus 4 halves. Okay, gotcha. So a little bit like 14. Negative 3 halves plus 4 halves is 1 half. Okay. Does that match with what we see here? It looks like that could be 1 half there, right? That's what this says the y-intercept is, and that matches with what it looks like. I like it. I like it. Now, real quick, if you would have done this the other way, guys, stay with me now. If I would have chosen this point instead, it would have been y minus the y piece. M times x minus the x piece. You guys see what's going on? If you choose this point, those numbers get put in. If you choose this point, those numbers get put in. On one level, it should feel like there's no way in hell they're going to be the same at the end, Jeff. There's totally different numbers. But of course they're going to be the same at the end. It's got to be. It's all the same line. The math makes it work out. So you go y plus 1 equals negative 3 halves x plus 3 halves. And then I have to do what? Minus 1. 1 is 2 over 2. Let me just cut to the chase, right? So you get y equals negative 3 halves x plus 1 half. The same equation we got down there. So it doesn't matter which point you pick. You just need a point. If they give you multiple points, just pick your favorite one. Don't let the other point know. What's the matter with me? Oh, okay. That's right. Let me see. Maybe, hold on. Oh, cool. Here's 6. Now here's, I just want to let you know this. I kind of decided, I'm not going to try to throw functions into this second test. All right? There's a lot to talk about with functions, so it's going to be on the next test. Will be that functions part. Okay? So we've still got a few things to finish up. So tomorrow we'll do that. I'll have the practice test tomorrow. Don't forget, there's a quiz today in lab, quiz tomorrow in lab. Oh, yay. Great. Test next Tuesday. Are you tomorrow? says find the intercept, I'm definitely going to make each one 0. That's the idea of finding intercept. If the question says, what's the slope in the y-intercept, then you want to solve for y, because m is the slope. Does that make so same things happen. So the test is going to count in place of this quiz for you also. The test is just going to count a little bit more. So yep. Yep. Oh, yeah. Let me see if I brought empty ones. I think I did.
If I did it
Here we
like
go.
a practice and I would
No, that's for today.
Like not great as a grade, but could you like check for me?
Yeah.
So I know I'm doing
That's fine. Just when you turn in, just put a little note saying, just put one saying, just check it, please, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
So this is how held up I am. I was in your lab yesterday, right? If you
Yes.
recall. So I took the quiz, and I think that was the one that I was supposed to be taking today.
No. Monday and
Yeah.
Tuesday was the third quiz for all 3 labs that I do. Today and tomorrow is now the next quiz. So if you come today or tomorrow, you'll be taking the next quiz.